Giving yourself grace is possibly one of the most important things in parenting. As a parent, you always hear, mom guilt, dad guilt, things like that. And people will tell you don't feel it at all. Well, I don't agree with that. I think it's important that we do feel those things because that lets us know that we care and it holds us accountable to change things that we know we can do better, right? Because that is the purpose in parenting, to do better, to do right by our children, to give them the love and support and care that they need. Because for us, that is our purpose. But giving ourselves grace is what allows us to do that the best. To understand that guilt doesn't have to mean living in the guilt, shame doesn't have to mean living in the shame. Instead, we can use that to make ourselves better, give ourselves the grace to do better. We always tell our children, well, if you make a mistake, you just try again. And I think we need to live by that ourselves. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Purpose in Parenting. My name is Jessica Israel, and this is a podcast for those of us who have found or are finding our purpose in parenting. Just a quick disclaimer, this is real life for real parents. So if you hear a child in the background, you hear some noise, we will not be editing it out. And the purpose is to really relate, to talk about the truth of what we go through, and to really just have that conversation amongst ourselves with others who can relate. So it may not be perfect, but guess what? Life with kids never is. Now, let's get into our new episode. Thank you so much for joining me at Purpose in Parenting. I am so glad to be back. It has been a while since I last released an episode, but life gets crazy, right? Just like the purpose of the podcast, my purpose is in parenting. So when parenting gets crazy, maybe I don't get a chance to release some episodes, but I am so happy to be here and talk to you all. I think this is so important, this topic, giving ourselves grace, forgiving ourselves, right? Giving ourselves permission to change. People always say, give yourself permission to make a mistake. Well, honey, we make mistakes every day. We definitely know what our parents meant when they said that parenting doesn't come with a manual, but it's coming back from that, right? Not just saying, well, I forgive myself, let me move on, but really using those feelings to make a change and to be different, right? Our goal is always for our children to grow up better than us and to be better than us, right? If you don't want your child to be a better person than you, then you have some self reflection to do, because that should always be the goal, to get better, right? Our goal is legacy, love, right? Giving them more than what we had. Even if you had everything, if there's anything you feel like you could have done better, or your parents maybe could have done better, you want to impart that onto your child, right? You want to bring that knowledge with you to make things better. It doesn't mean things will be perfect, right? As we know, this is purpose in parenting, not perfect in parenting. Right? There is no such thing as perfect parenting. And every child is different. Every child is going to require different things. You can read as many manuals and books as you want, and then you'll probably be ripping your hair out sometimes because you're thinking, hey, I'm trying all these tips, I'm trying all these things. Why is this not working? Because maybe with that particular child, they need something else. Maybe they need a different type of conversation. Maybe they need a different way of explaining things to them. Maybe for them, having conversation is the most important thing, and it's not wagging your finger and telling them no. Every child is different. Maybe some child needs to just be told, hey, no, and that's enough. But for other children, there's a little more to it, right? And maybe that just doesn't work with them. And the whole thing is, we want our children to be whole, healthy people. The best way to achieve that, right, is to bestow grace on them. And to be a whole, healthy person, You need to know that it is okay to make a mistake. We essentially need to treat ourselves with the same way we treat our children, with the same grace that we give them. We love them so much that it doesn't matter what they do. We will always forgive them. We'll always give them another chance. We just want them to do better. We don't want to punish them. We want them to do better. And that's the interesting thing, too, when it comes to punishment and things like that. You never punish just to punish, right? And if you are, please stop. The whole purpose of anything like that is to get a difference in behavior, to get a behavior change. And if that's not achieving that goal, then you have to try it a different way. Right? That's the reality of it, is that we're always learning and growing with this. But like I said at the beginning of this episode, we have to give ourselves the grace, right? Because how can we expect our child to learn and grow if we're not learning and growing? And we can't learn and grow if we don't give ourselves grace. If we stay stuck in a place of anger or sadness or guilt or shame, right? It doesn't mean we can't feel those things, but allow those things to propel you. You should feel mom guilt. You should feel dad guilt. It's okay to feel shame. But what you don't want to do is you don't want to live in it. That's the difference. Living in the guilt, living in the shame is what is going to stop you from being able to do better. But if you accept that feeling and acknowledge that feeling and take accountability from that feeling, then give yourself grace. Now you have the opportunity to do better. Thank you so much for listening to our podcast today. I really appreciate the support. Also, if you're interested and would like to send a personal donation, because this is a labor of love, my Cash App is Torah Blessed, TorahBlessed. Thank you again so much for the support, guys, and I really look forward to chatting again next time.